All right, guys, reviewing October 12 to 16, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Again, this week, 100% right on ideas. I don't know if it's luck or just two good weeks in a row, but yeah, things just worked out, and so not going to complain. But sometimes you will be wrong, and sometimes the stock will go nuts. So that is well, HDZ actually was the only one I was wrong on. Actually, I'll take that back. So I don't know if it's about 97% right or something like that, but HDZ was green though. The idea was right. Power went out, but I'll explain that later. So on October the 12th, I traded Lizzie. Was up on a some sort of honor or something like that. Stock went 100%. And looked back at the chart and I saw 4.5 to 5. Or I think it said 5 to 550. No, 4. Well, I looked at the chart and I saw 4 was interesting. 4.50s was resistance, and 5 plus was like a max point. So I had the number 5 in my head as a max risk, and so kind of went in a little bit size down here, and once it got to here, it was beautiful. Added a little more size and versus 5, and came down. And as the base began to form here, saw the trap was covering 390s, added overview up, love these overview up pushes, came down, expected super weak open, covered, and began to short here. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect even this. I thought it was going to fade right out, but it began to hold for, hold for, hold for, hold for, hold for, hold for. So, I was mostly covered here, and I wasn't going to say, I expected this rip. I didn't know for sure, but I was ready, and for the crack, and then I would have added and added, but the crack didn't come, so came back up and shorted again versus 5, and failed, and that was pretty much it. I might have added a little bit towards VWAP reclaim here. Now my new risk was pre-market highs, but aside from that, really not much size. Had some average up here and just let it do its thing. There wasn't any other major pops to really do this. So pretty simple trade, simple fundamentals, not much else going on there. BRQS was up on a Twitter pump, literally nothing, just like, oh, like sector play, this one can go too. Fit it before, dumb stock. Saw this beautiful second opportunity, and so hammered 160s here versus, to be honest with you, I gave myself room to 2. This is what I do with my strategy. You guys can review the video on that, but I gave myself room to 2 and 2 over under. And so, I hammered here, but it wasn't crazy size. And then literally just covered red because there was, there really was no pop, there was no volume. So I just, pays the bills. It was a small trade. WIMI up huge. Some sort of like Apple sympathy, whatever, stocks junk. So, expected a fade. This was a huge move. I started in versus 850s. I just don't have enough time in this video to identify why I think those levels are the top, but as you can see, that was quite a ways from where it went. 850s was my target where I was wrong. Started in tiny here. Always pay yourself as part of my strategy on the washes. Still had some though, huge rip, so I was down a little bit. Added. I thought 820s would fail. I wasn't sure. 850s was my risk, so I was, in decent size here as it's near where I'm wrong. Had a beautiful stuff there. Didn't really add too much here. Just a tiny little bit on confirmation. I only had tinies on confirmations. This was very clear stuff. Did what I thought it was doing. And then just mostly covered into VWAP, reshorted 770s, was a beautiful kind of above this this point here, and then just covered into the pull under VWAP, covered more because it was a huge move, reshort a little bit, covered into close, right? That's 1530, so it's near close, and tomorrow this will probably fade off more, so probably be done. So that was October 12th. October the 13th, I traded ears. Oh, ears. Fantastic ears. Stupid stock was up on no news, on false news. So, huge move 4 a.m. Stock is up 100% or more. I forget. No news. Huge push into 7 a.m. My risk was set at 230s, just a number I threw in my head because I thought it would fail too, but just in case it did something stupid, gave a little bit extra room. So shorted small, 160s, added 193. And then once the backside was in, once the news came out where Bloomberg says, "Hey guys, we're wrong. It's the wrong company," I added a bunch more, adjusting my risk to 175-ish. Said it's probably not going to go back up there if it does, I'm wrong. And came down, covered into 120s, and there was a PR, reshort a little bit, not too much because I wasn't sure if I wanted to have a little bit of fun, back up to 170s. It did nothing, and so just covered into 110s. I did actually reshort this pop 120s and covered at 1, but that was pretty much a pretty simple trade. BDR was up on insider buy, nothing. Huge move, guys. This is a 100% move on no news. Small insider buy, short, tiny 180s. Covered a touch, reshort to maybe 205-ish, I think it was. Covered into support, covered more, reshort the move back into 180s, expecting now my risk is 2. Oh, by the way, my risk was 250s to start here. I'll always tell you guys where my initial or my full risk was at 250s. Reshorted a little bit, but now my risk was at 2. And yeah, just covered in the close. Pretty simple, very, very simple trade. MDGS, I said I was wrong at 4 point. What was it? I think it was 4 actually. So it's pretty close, but this one I actually didn't short. I actually longed the stock. I saw it was holding at 3, and I longed, holding at 3 again, and I longed, holding view up, and I longed, and so I actually longed the stock a lot. I didn't have Boros, otherwise I would have shorted the pop over high day, death candles, and fade, but I didn't have Boros on that. So that's pretty much all I traded for October the 13th. On October the 14th, I traded Excel, was also up on small insider buy. Seems to be a big thing that's going on right now. So shorted, was up again like 50% on no news. I waited patiently. I didn't short 120s. I waited patiently for an actual trade. Hit 130s. My full risk was 160s. So knowing that, I confidently just added 140s and literally failed VWAP here and thought it was done. I added a little bit of size and just let it do its thing. There was no other pops, just covered in red. 0.80s was done. OCX was up on huge Twitter pump. Literally saw it was Twitter pump. Short 230s versus 250s. And then I used pre-market highs as my guide for shorts after that. So covered sub 2, 2 started to base, let it cover a little bit into the wash to open. Was hoping for pops, and that's exactly what happened. So hit 210s pretty hard because pre-market highs, I didn't expect it to go back to 220s, 230s, and that would be my max risk, not expecting 250s. So 210s is pretty close to my ideal target. So hit decent size, 1/2, but just didn't go up any higher. So just covered into 160s, and that's what I do. If it doesn't go up high enough, I just don't add enough. If it goes up higher, then fantastic. That's great. So GEN was up on no news. Stupid debt penny stock runner. Short versus just $1 mental in my head. Small size 0.87 AM shuffle was heavy. Failed, clear fail. Added a little bit of size, and there was no other pops to be left, so just covered at the end of the day. 0.50 is very, very simple. If you can't explain these in like 5 seconds, then it's you're making it too complicated. AEMB was up on Twitter pump from 210s last night. Literally said it was going back to 150s where it belonged. It was on a Zacks target price upgrade worth 0. Short pops cover weakness. there really is nothing else to say for that one. IDXG was up on sympathy, just a low float runner for the day, up on no news. 5, it was $6, yeah. There's a gap up to $6 on the chart, on the yearly chart, so $6 is my mental target. So I put on a small 520s here in the morning, covered in 3s because 3s was my target. I said in Discord, reshort the VWAP pop. Didn't I don't think I covered the swash. I should have covered the swash. Maybe I did a little bit, but not enough. Because shot up here, but again, 6 was my risk, so I didn't actually, when this did what I thought it shouldn't do, came back up here, I didn't short this pop because, you know, at this point it's a squeeze, so where is it going to squeeze? It's going to squeeze here now. It's going to squeeze over highs, so that's exactly what it did. It squeezed over highs and shorted 550s versus 6, so still not full size. Beautiful reject, and then I reshort, you know, 5 area versus pre-market highs. When I saw that the pump had dumped and then confirmed, and then literally just covered and started shorting pops. So that's how I traded that one. It's important to give yourself room, you know, to be right. You know, you got to realize it's a low float. You can't just say, you know, if you say this is your risk, right? You're probably gonna be stopped out. So you need to give yourself a reasonable risk with the size, and that's all part of my strategy. So MDDR, knew this was going to fail, kept failing, never gave me a reason to doubt it, and so just short, cover, short, cover, short, added into the fail and covered in a day. There was, the stock should be at 1, was up at 4. It was done, it never gave me a reason to doubt it, and so just treated it as such. MDGS, like 4th time it's pumped to PR. So, you know, short versus 350s, add, you know, really not much to say here. Yeah. October the 15th, running out of time here. I traded MDDR again, SPI. AVXL was up on dumb biotech news on October the 15th. And so I just said versus 6. Once I saw the top was in, originally it was 650s, pre-market highs, short a tiny little bit, 550s, saw it was done, at which point cover, short versus VWAP, cover, short versus VWAP. Again, here though, you're shorting versus 6, so 6 was where I was wrong, 6 over under. And so when I'm shorting strength, guys, I'm shorting versus, you know, way up here. So you got to realize my size here was, you know, it wasn't huge, but, and then once you see it's done, you can start to add a tiny little bit. I always add a tiny little bit when I see it's done, and then, yeah, it's done. So, but it's important to realize, you know, yeah, I'm not making a home run in this trade. You know, most 90% of my trades will just be paying the bills. So, but this is still a $1 move on small size, adds up huge. HBP, up on no news, insider buy, didn't fade actually, so kind of caught me, but the good thing is that I didn't start shorting until 360s over after hours highs. That's where I said I was interested. I had lots of range, so short, cover, short, cover, short, cover, short, cover, short, cover, just short strength, cover weakness was all I did. 4 over under was my wrong price target on that one. SPI was a huge one. I actually longed SPI all the way from 8.6 to 13 because I saw it wasn't as part of my strategy. You'll see I do long stocks like that when I see there's no edge short. Shorted 14 versus 15. 15 to like 18 was my mental target. So I was going to give this lots of room to work. So I shorted small size here. Didn't add until down here, small size, average 13, and just covered into 10:30 a.m. Reshort a little bit, covered. Wasn't a huge win, but it was a nice little win. So just gave myself tons of room to work, stress-free, and just short.